Let us start new chapter, that is complex numbers. Till class 10th you are comfortable with real numbers, right? But there were some problems which were not solvable in real numbers. For example, we had got some quadratic equations where we said that if discriminant is less than 0, then we will have non-real roots, right? Non-real roots. Or in other words, we also said imaginary roots, right? Now, what are those imaginary roots? Now, if I have got such an equation, x square plus 1 equal to 0. If I talk about real numbers, square of a real number can never be negative. So this is not a possibility in real numbers, right? Because we said in real numbers that square of any number is non-negative, because we were saying about real numbers, right? Inside real numbers we were speaking that square of any number is non-negative. So it is not possible for a square of a number to be negative in real numbers, right? Now Euler introduced this symbol iota, right? This stands for iota. Now this I is equal to square root of minus 1, right? So now if you see, if I introduce this iota as square root of minus 1, now if I try to solve this, x will be equal to plus minus root of minus 1. So I can say x will be equal to plus minus iota, right? So I found the solution of such an equation in imaginary numbers. This iota is an imaginary number. This is an imaginary number. It is also known as imaginary unit. So Euler was the first mathematician to introduce this term. Then Gauss and Hamilton developed this theory of complex number, right? And Hamilton said an imaginary number is a number whose square is a negative number. Whose square is a negative number. If you notice, what is iota squared? Iota, I said, was square root of negative 1. So what is iota squared? Iota squared is minus 1, right? An imaginary number is a number whose square is a negative number. So this is only possible in imaginary numbers, right? So let us talk a little bit more about iota. Now iota is taken as square root of minus 1, okay? So what will be the square of iota? It will be equal to minus 1, right? Square of this will be equal to minus 1. Now what will be cube of iota? Cube of iota will be iota squared into iota. Now iota squared we know is minus 1, so minus iota. So iota cubed is minus iota. What will be iota raised to power 4? It will be equal to iota squared into iota squared, that is minus 1 into minus 1, hence it will be equal to 1. I want you to be very comfortable with this symbol iota here. Okay, so iota is an imaginary number. It is also known as imaginary unit and is equal to square root of minus 1. So square of iota is equal to minus 1 and cube of iota is equal to minus iota, because iota cubed can be written as iota squared into iota, right? And iota raised to power 4 is equal to 1. Okay, so what will be iota raised to power 5? It will be equal to iota raised to power 4 into iota, that is iota. Okay, and what will be iota raised to power 6? It will be iota raised to power 4 into iota raised to power 2, that is iota squared, because this is 1. Iota raised to power 4 is 1. So what is the cyclicity that you see here? That if I raise iota, and let us see two more, iota raised to power 7 is iota raised to power, and what will be iota squared? It will be minus 1, right? And it was true for iota square also, and this was iota also. Now what about iota cubed? Iota cubed or iota raised to power 7 are one and the same thing, because iota raised to power 7 can be written as iota raised to power 4 into iota cubed. So that will ultimately give you iota cubed, which is nothing but minus iota, right? What about iota raised to power 4 or iota raised to power 8? Both are nothing but 1, because it is 1, this is 1, 1 into 1 is again 1. So iota raised to power 9 will again give you iota. Iota raised to power 10 will give you minus 1. Iota raised to power 11 will again give you minus iota. Iota raised to power 12 will give you 1 again. Why? Because iota raised to power 9 can also be written as iota raised to power 8 into iota. Now this is iota raised to power 4 into iota raised to power 4. So 1 into 1, right? So that's how we can discuss the cyclicity of powers of iota, right? And if you know, if I divide any number by 4, what are the possible remainders? If divisor is 4, then the possible remainders will be, what will be the possible remainders? Either it can be 0, 1, 2 or 3. So these are the possible remainders if I divide a number by 4. So on the base of 4, if I want to write the numbers, or let us say positive integers, can I write the numbers as 4k, 4k plus 1, 4k plus 2 or 4k plus 3, right? In these categories I can divide the numbers, right? If I divide a number by 4, either it will give remainder 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. There is no other possibility about remainders when I divide a number by 4. So I can divide the numbers in these 4 categories. Now if you see these numbers 1, 5, 9, they are just 4k plus 1 type. These numbers are 4k plus 2 type. What do I mean by 4k plus 2 type? That if I divide this number by 4, I'll get a remainder 2. If I divide this number by 4, I'll get remainder 2. If I divide this number by 4, I'll get remainder 2. Right? What about these numbers? These are 4k plus 3 type. These are 4k type. Right? So what can you say about this? Iota raised to power 4k plus 1. It is nothing but iota. You can ignore this, because iota raised to power 4k plus 1 is nothing but iota raised to power 4k into iota. And what is this? This is iota raised to power 4 raised to power k into iota, right? And this is 1. 1 raised to any power will give you 1, right? Because this k is also an integral multiple, right? So this will give you 1. So 1 into iota will again give you 1. So you can very well ignore 4k whenever you are raising iota to 4kth power. It will give you 1. So this can be written as iota here. Iota raised to power 4k plus 2 can be written as iota square or minus 1. Iota raised to power 4k plus 3 can be written as iota cubed, that is minus iota, and iota raised to power 4k is nothing but 1. So why am I telling you this? Now you know, if I write, let us say, iota raised to power 1598, right? What will it be equal to? Now if you see, I just need to check this number. What will be the remainder if I divide this number by 4? 1598 divided by 4, what will be the remainder? Now it will be the same remainder as I will get when I divide the last 2 digits of this number by 4. So if I divide 98 by 4, it will give me the same remainder. Right? Remember the uh, rule of divisibility by 4. So I hope you remember that. Otherwise you just need to check the last 2 digits. Whatever remainder they will give will be the effective remainder, because you can always write this as 1500 plus 98. Now you know this number is divisible by 4, so the remainder will be given, or will only be have to checked only by these last 2 digits. Okay, so let's check. If you see, this will give you remainder 2, right? Because 96 is divisible by 4 and 96 plus 2 is 98. So 2 is the remainder. So you can write this as iota squared or minus 1. So this number here, iota raised to power 1598, will be equal to minus 1 only. So if you have got some bigger number, 2, 1, 3, 5, 2, 5. So you simply know that this is equal to iota, because I just need to concentrate on these last two digits, and this is 24 plus 1. So it will give you remainder 1, right? Rest of, or what can I say, that this number here will give you remainder 1 if I divide it by 4. So it will be of 4k plus 1 type. That is, it will give iota as my answer. And this number was 4k plus 2 type. That is why it gave me iota squared here. Right? And you should notice one more thing before we proceed, that if I add these iota squared, iota cubed plus iota raised to power 4, what will be the result? What will be the result? This is iota, right? This is iota squared, which is minus 1. This is iota cubed, which is minus iota. And this is iota raised to power 4, which is 1. Right? Now if you see, 1 will get cancelled here, iota will get cancelled here. So it will give you 0. So if I add 4 consecutive powers of iota. Now this was 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it true about any other consecutive powers? Let us try. 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay. If I do that, because these are 4 numbers, if I divide these numbers by 4, these are 4 consecutive numbers. If I divide these numbers by 4, at least one of them will be completely divisible by 4, because these are 4 consecutive numbers, right? So one of them will be completely divisible by 4, and one of them will give remainder 1. And if one number is completely divisible, obviously the next number will give you remainder 1, next will give you remainder 2, and next will give you remainder 3. Okay, let us check. If iota raised to power 27 is there, it will be equal to iota raised to power 24 plus 3. So it will give you remainder 3, right? Iota raised to power 28 is nothing but 4k type. This is 4k plus 3 type. This is 4k plus 1 type. If I divide this number by 4, it will give me remainder 1. This is 4k plus 2 type. So I can write this as iota cubed, this as 1, this is iota, and this is iota squared. And we just saw that this will give you 0, because this is minus iota, so it will be cancelled with this. This is minus 1, so it will be cancelled with 1. Okay, so this will give you 0. So this is true for any 4 consecutive powers of iota, because we will be able to write those powers like this. And it is equal to 0. Okay. So let us write it in general form, that iota raised to power n plus iota raised to power n plus 1 plus iota raised to power n plus 2 plus iota raised to power n plus 3, where n belongs to integers. Now if you notice this expression, what I can do here is I can take iota raised to power n outside. So this will become 1, this will become iota, this will become iota squared, and this will be iota cubed. If you see, this sum is 0. We have already calculated, hence this entire expression will give you 0. So these are 4 consecutive powers of iota, and sum of these will give you 0. One more thing that we studied in real numbers will no longer be applicable here. That when we talked about real numbers, we said root a into root b is equal to square root ab, right? We talked about this identity there in real numbers. Okay, because in real numbers we cannot have negative inside this radical sign. That is why we were able to say that. But if I do not mention now in class 11 and simply say that this is an identity, you will say no, it is not true, because now you know about complex numbers or imaginary numbers also. So we will need to check its validity for imaginary numbers. So let's, and for some identity to be true, there should be no exception. So let me take a equal to b equal to minus 1. So left hand side will become square root of minus 1 into square root of minus 1. And what will be the right hand side? Right hand side will become minus 1 into minus 1. So this is what? This is iota. This is also iota. And this minus 1 into minus 1 will become 1. So square root of 1 is 1. And here iota squared is minus 1. So minus 1 equal to 1, which is not valid, right? So this identity is not valid always. For it to be valid, A and B should not be simultaneously negative. Should not be simultaneously negative, right? So they cannot both be negative at the same time. If they are, then this identity will not be true. Otherwise, for all the conditions, if one of them is negative, one of them is positive, if one of them is 0, then it is okay. But if both are negative, then this identity will not be valid, right? And another thing that we studied in real numbers, that if a squared plus b squared is equal to 0, right, then we used to say that this will imply a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 0. This also was valid in real numbers but not in imaginary numbers. Why? Because if I consider a equal to 1 plus iota, b equal to 1 minus iota, and if I do a squared plus b squared now, this will be 1 squared plus iota squared plus 2 iota, and this will be 1 squared plus iota squared minus 2 iota, right? This will be cancelled, okay? This is 1, this is minus 1, right? This is 1 and this is minus 1. So if you see, a squared plus b squared gives me 0, but a and b are not 0. So in complex numbers, if a square plus b square is equal to 0, it doesn't mean that a equal to 0 and b equal to 0, right? So these are some of the things which are different from real numbers that you need to understand. One more thing, that order relation does not exist. Order relation does not exist in complex numbers. Okay, let us first of all define what a complex number is. Then we will talk about this. A complex number is a number of the form a plus iota b, where a and b belong to real numbers and iota is equal to square root of minus 1. So this is a complex number, right? A and b are both real numbers, okay? And a is known as, if I, we generally denote it by this complex number by z. So z equal to a plus iota b. So what is a? A is real part of this complex number. Real part of this complex number is a, and imaginary part of this complex number is b, right? B itself is real, but it is coefficient of this iota here in this number. So it is imaginary part of this complex number, right? So real part of z is a, imaginary part of z is b, okay? So this is the definition of complex numbers when we have defined iota equal to square root of minus 1, okay? Now I have said that a and b are real numbers, right? So if a is 0, then this real part will vanish, only this imaginary part will be there, right? if a is 0, then z will be equal to iota b only the imaginary part will be there. So such numbers are known as purely imaginary numbers, purely imaginary numbers. And if b is equal to 0, then you will see that z is equal to a, which is a real number. So these numbers are known as purely real numbers. So now if you notice, these complex numbers consist of all real numbers, right? So a real number is a complex number having its imaginary part equal to 0, right? So if I can write this number a plus 0 iota, right? I can write this as a plus 0 iota. So a real number a is a complex number having its imaginary part 0, right? Such numbers are known as purely real numbers. So you can imagine that real numbers are a subset of complex numbers, right? Real numbers are a subset of complex numbers. So you understand about purely imaginary numbers and purely real numbers, and this is what complex number looks like, a plus iota b, where a and b belong to real numbers. Now let us talk about order relation in complex numbers, which does not exist in complex numbers, but equality exists. So if there are two complex numbers, let us say a plus iota b and c plus iota d, where a, b, c, d belong to real numbers. So if I say a plus iota b is equal to c plus iota d, then their real parts have to be equal and their imaginary parts have to be equal. Only then these two complex numbers can be equal to each other. So their real parts have to be equal, their imaginary parts have to be equal. But if I say that a plus iota b is greater than c plus iota d, it is meaningless in complex numbers. So order relations, for example 5 is greater than 3, minus 3 is less than 0. So these kind of relations, order relations, existed in real numbers, right? So real numbers, if you see number line, when I go towards left, right, the numbers are lesser than the previous numbers. If I go towards right, numbers are greater than their previous numbers. But in case of complex numbers, such order relations do not exist. So I cannot say, let us say I've got a complex number 1000 plus 5100 iota, and there is another number which is 2 plus 3 iota. Is this number greater than this? We cannot even say this, right? Because order relations do not exist. This question is a meaningless question, that is it greater than this or not, because in complex numbers we cannot ask such questions. We will talk about it when we study the Argand plane, or when we try to plot a complex number in xy plane, right? Then we will talk why is it not possible and why is it meaningless. But you need to understand that we cannot talk about some number is greater than other number or lesser than other number in complex numbers, because order relations do not exist here. This is something that you need to understand.